What is going on, guys? Gamers Goon here today with your NFL mock draft first round. As you can see, we're only doing one round. I'm not sure if you can see that, but we're only doing one round. We are using all teams just in case I decide to make any trades. Some of these teams outside right here might make a trade. I don't know. We'll see how the board's going, but I'm fairly confident in what I want to do here. This is going to be, I believe, my final mock draft. So we'll see if I end up doing another one in terms of as a video. Obviously, I'm going to play around with things over the next few days before the draft. I might do one Thursday morning and just a complete final one, but this is at least my second to last one and maybe my last one. We'll see. But first, we got the Jaguars on the clock, and what I've been hearing, man, I've been hearing some wild things. If you watched yesterday's video with the Bears, the man that is raising up boards quite frequently is Trayvon Walker. As you can see here, 13% for the Jaguars, who have number one. So the names I've been hearing right here is Aiden Hutchinson and Trayvon Walker. I haven't heard Kayvon Thibodeau. I haven't heard a Sauce Gardner. I haven't heard any of the offensive linemen. The names I've been hearing is Hutchinson or Walker. And man, oh man, that the offseason has done this man very well. Not Charles Cross. The offseason has done this man very well. Look at him, not all that impressive. I mean, he's a solid player, don't get me wrong. Trayvon Walker is a solid player. He definitely wasn't the best player on that defensive front, but he's versatile. He can do a little bit of everything. He had phenomenal combine. He has shot up boards on everybody's pick, man, and it's wild to me. It is wild to me. I don't think I've ever seen somebody shoot up the boards quite the same as Trayvon Walker, and I think he is a lock for top 5, where going into this offseason for Trayvon Walker, he wasn't even a first-round lock. Now he potentially legitimately could go number 1, whereas Aiden Hutchinson's been a guy for most of the season's been probably the consensus number 1. It's been, well, do you trust Aiden Hutchinson? What he's doing right now shows that he's still a beast, or do you want to go off what you've seen previously from Kayvon Thibodeau? Obviously, he's been hurt. He's been on and off the field the last few years, but I think the pick here is going to be Trayvon Walker, so let's send it in, and that is the number 1 selection. And it's going to get a little bit dicey from here because I don't think the Lions before today really thought they could legitimately land Aiden Hutchinson. And I had the Lions actually taking Trayvon Walker prior to this. And I think that the Giants or the Lions might not necessarily have their homework done necessarily as much as Aiden Hutchinson and Kayvon Thibodeau between those two. And I think they might be a little bit hesitant to jump the gun on Aiden Hutchinson. Obviously, he is the consensus number 1 for a lot of people for a good reason. And Kayvon Thibodeau was a consensus number 1 for a good period of time. I do know that the Lions have done their work on Thibodeau. If they haven't done the same amount of work on Aiden Hutchinson, maybe there's a chance Thibodeau goes ahead of him. But I'm going to just commit to Aiden Hutchinson here. I think it is probably the move that is going to be most likely. And here's where we get a little bit dicey here. This is going to be an interesting spot, man. This is going to be an interesting spot because at number 3, we have the Texans. And I've heard a lot of names for here. I've heard Sauce Gardner. I've heard Evan Neal. I've heard Ikem Ekwonu. I've heard him. Kayvon Thibodeau. I've heard Trayvon Walker here potentially. Outside of that, nobody else really makes sense here. But it's going to be one of the, I think personally, they're going to start building around Davis Mills. So it's going to be which one of these offensive linemen do you prefer? And to me, I think Ikem Ekwonu is the one for everybody here in this draft. I think he's a very versatile man. You look at him. He played a whole season, or well, he played some of the season at guard. He has the ability to play tackle. Big grade there. Huge game against Clemson. I mean, obviously you're gonna have some low games here, playing at a smaller school like North Carolina State, but I think Ikem Ekwonu is the guy here at number 3. I love him. He's actually my favorite offensive lineman in the draft. And that leads us to 4 and 4, man. You're looking at the Jets, man. They could go Sauce Gardner here. They can go Evan Neal here. They can go Charles Cross here. They can go Stingley if they really wanted to. I don't think Stingley goes before Gardner. They can go Kayvon Thibodeau, who is definitely an option here. I don't think Kyle Hamilton's really in the running. But the Jets, man, when I think of that team, I think that they need somebody that can get in there and block for Zach Wilson, give him some time. Sauce Gardner's there. But I think with 10, you probably are in range for Trent McDuffie. You're probably in range for Derek Stingley, where you might not, because you got the Giants and the Panthers, who are I think are locked to take one of these two or one of these three. The Seahawks could take them. I don't think necessarily you're locked to have one of these tackles there. So I'm actually going to take Evan Neal, who I think is probably the consensus for a lot of people as the best tackle in this draft. I actually don't think that. I think Ike Makamu is the best one, but I think Evan Neal is going to hear his name called pretty early on Thursday. Then we get to the Giants, and the Giants here, they just have a lot of needs, man. They have a lot of needs. There's a lot of positions I'm not sold on. We've heard Kadarius Toney's name be thrown around in trade talks lately. It's rough if you're a Giants fan, and I don't see how you let Sauce Gardner fall any further. You got to go get your guy right there, and your guy is Sauce Gardner. I could see a situation where the Panthers take Sauce Gardner if he's there. Don't leave him there. Don't leave him there. Make them pick somebody else. Make them go tackle. And I think what they're going to do is they're probably going to take Charles Cross here. Charles Cross, we're taking him off the board here. And let's see here. There's, as you can see, the linemen kind of thin out after that for a little bit. And that opens up the Giants here. And the Giants are going to take Kayvon Thibodeau. So you think about that draft right there. Two potentially best players at their position. Back-to-back. Well, I mean, not back-to-back, but one pick away from each other. That's a phenomenal haul if you are the Giants. Then we get to the Falcons. The Falcons, I believe, are actually a team that could be in a trade situation. They don't want a quarterback here. I don't necessarily think they're going to fall in love with Derek Stingley here either. And I think what their best bet here is they are probably going to trade down to a team that wants one of the receivers before the Jets get to the receivers. And to me, the Commanders are the team that's going to move up before the Jets. They're not going to do it. They're not going to move up with the Seahawks just in case the Seahawks throw a little bit of a curveball at you. They're going to move up here. They're going to give them 11. They're going to take 8. Can we just do that? Can we just swap picks? We can't. For the sake of this video, we're just going to throw in pick 113. They might get more, they might get less. We're going to force the trade. But I think that the Commanders are in potential to trade up here. And with the Commanders trading up, I have them taking the first receiver off the board, and I have that being Jameson Williams. This guy is a threat, man. He is the best deep threat in the game in this draft. He is probably going to be somebody that could play very well alongside Terry McLaurin. To me, he is very similar to what Jalen Waddle was last year. One of my favorite prospects in this year's draft, Jameson Williams. I think he's going to be a stud. The question really just becomes here, do you prefer Garrett Wilson, who brings what he brings? Do you prefer Drake London, who brings what he brings, kind of a bigger guy, going to go up and grab the ball? Or do you think of Jameson Williams, what he brings, which is obviously kind of Jalen Waddle-esque? Garrett Wilson, kind of a little bit smaller than the others, but he's gonna go make some big plays for you. 12 touchdowns. He's one of those guys that once you throw him the ball, he can get into position. A phenomenal route runner. But I think Jameson Williams, he just has the potential to be something completely different from anybody else in this draft. He has the potential to maybe be one of those Tyreek Hill kind of players, one of those Deebo Samuel kind of players. And I think you take Jameson Williams. I think you can use him all around the field. I absolutely love him. I think he is definitely in play for the Commanders if he is on the board, and I think they will trade up to go get their guy there in Jameson Williams. And then we got the Seahawks here, and the Seahawks are running up to the boardroom, and they are screaming, they're jumping around, they're having fun. Derek Stingley is on the board, a guy that could have been a number one pick if he's been playing, a phenomenal player. If you want to look at some of his stats here, you kind of see how he thinned out over the last few years. But if he plays like he did his rookie year, that's a stud for you. That's a stud for you. The problem is, do you think he's going to be committed? Do you think he's going to be on the field? I don't know. But definitely worth the gamble with the upside with Derek Stingley. If he is what he is for his freshman year, as one of the best corners in the country as a freshman, he has something in him here at 9. Then we get the Jets. The Jets, obviously, they took Evan Neal. And I think the Jets are also going to be in play for a receiver here. They're going to double up on offense, and they're going to take their guy, who is Garrett Wilson here. And I know this might be a little weird seeing Jameson Williams and Garrett Wilson off the board before Drake London, but I think it's going to be what happens. I don't necessarily know if anybody's going to fall in love with Drake London necessarily the way they could with Garrett Wilson or Jameson Williams, potentially just because Drake London is one of those bigger guys, and we've seen times where the Drake London type of player turns out to be an N'Keal Harry. We've seen it happen, and I don't know if anybody is going to be as in love with Drake London as the other two receivers I have before him. Then we get the Falcons here. The Falcons, obviously, they did that trade back, and I think they're similar positions still. Quarterback's not really an option for them, but corner is. Corner's a position in need here. They obviously probably wanted Derek Stingley to fall a few more picks. The Seahawks did not let that happen, but I don't think you'd lose too much by Trent McDuffie here. He's a little bit on the smaller end, which is somewhat a question mark for him, but this guy's a baller, man. He is going to be there every Sunday. He's going to be wanting to play every position you can let him. He'll play in the safety. He'll play corner. He'll play whatever you need him to do. He wants to be there. He has a high football IQ. I think Trent McDuffie is a phenomenal player. If you don't think he is, then you must not have been watching many Washington games. He is a good player. And here at 12, the Vikings are kicking themselves, man, because I think they wanted one of these two right here, Stingley or McDuffie, and neither of them are on the board. So you're sitting here as a Vikings fan, and you're sitting here, you're wondering where you're going, and I'm not in love with any of these guys for the Vikings, man. I mean, Karlaftis is potentially here, but I think the guy you're going to fall in love with is somebody that's a little bit down on some boards, but a guy that I think has a potential chance to maybe even drop into the 10 with how athletic he is, and it's Jermaine Johnson. Jermaine Johnson, a beast of a man, 6'5", 250, phenomenal ratings last year. He was able to get to the quarterback a lot last year. He played a lot more last year. He definitely has a lot of recency bias to him, but I think Jermaine Johnson is one of the better players in this year's draft. I believe he was a senior. I believe he showed out in the Senior Bowl. If I'm thinking of the right person, I think it was him. Jermaine Johnson, I think, is the guy here. I like him a little bit more than George Karlaftis. Karlaftis, to me, just doesn't feel like he has a next edge, whereas Jermaine Johnson, athletically, I think he could be something special in the league, where I don't necessarily get the same vibe with George Karlaftis. So we're taking Jermaine Johnson. Then let's look at the Texans. Ike Mekamwu, who they took first, they're still here at 13. Ike Mekamwu and Drake London sitting there, man. And you want to help out. Davis Mills as much as you can. And I think if one of the top receivers in this draft are here at 13, you want to do that, and you're going to take Drake London off the board. So the top 3 receivers are off the board now, so it falls to the next tier of Olave, Moore, and Pickens, and Burks, which I think are still really good players, but I don't think they're top 15, maybe 20. We'll see how the board plays. We're looking here, the Ravens. They just lost a lot on that defensive front. They need some interior defenders. And my favorite one in this entire draft is Jordan Davis. Just look at the size of this man. 6'3", 340, senior, highly rated last year. The problem with him is he doesn't get very many sacks, mostly because he eats up a lot of attention himself. Whereas when you had Devontae Wyatt, he does have a little bit more sacks. But I still think when you're going interior defender, you're going Jordan Davis. I don't see how you don't love Jordan Davis as a scout. I think he is going to be something special in the league. In the Eagles, man, they have a lot of concerns. And I'm filling their first one. This might be a little bit too early for Andrew Booth, but let me tell you the quick reasoning on this. The Eagles have been known to reach a little bit here and there when they need a position of need. Cornerback is definitely a position of need here for the Eagles. I think Andrew Booth is their guy. Then we have the Saints. The Saints are a team that could be in the running for a QB, maybe an Olave, but I actually think they go offensive line here. And I think they go one of the more projects in this draft, and they go Tyler Smith or Trevor Penning. And personally, I prefer Tyler Smith, but I think there's a better chance of Trevor Penning going here. Then you get to the Chargers. The Chargers are a little bit upset because I feel like they want Jordan Davis. A lot of franchises want Jordan Davis, but I don't really look at this and think it's too much of a concern. Their offensive line was fine. Their receivers were fine last year. I don't think those are really concerns. Maybe a corner here. But I think Devontae Wyatt here is the guy. I think they need an interior defender. I know they just signed Sebastian Joseph Day, but I think they need to add somebody else to that interior defense as well. And then you can see it already. Defensive back is a concern for the Eagles. We just had them take Booth. And when I'm looking at it, man, I don't think you can justify any longer that Kyle Hamilton continues to fall down the board. As you can see, 8th ranked, 9th average draft pick. In my opinion, Kyle Hamilton is one of the top 3 players in this year's draft. I love the kid. I think he's going to be a beast. Safety is not a valued position nearly as much as some of the other positions. I think he might be one of the better defensive backs than some of the guys that went above him. I think he might be better than Andrew Booth. I think he might be a lot better than a lot of the guys that went above him. But he's still on the board. You gotta take best player available. It still fills a position of need because they still need help in that secondary desperately. So Hamilton and Andrew Booth, call yourselves winners of the draft right there. Maybe they do it the other way around. I don't know. But here we go. The Saints, man. The Saints are one of the teams that are in need of a QB. They're in need of a QB. Do they want to be the ones to pull the trigger on Malik Willis? Or do they want to go and get one of these offensive linemen? Do they want the Rymans? Do they want the Linderbaums? And, man, I can't really justify passing on Malik Willis here. If you are the Saints, unless you are in love, when's the next Saints pick? It doesn't even tell me. Can I see the next Saints pick here? 49. You're probably looking at Matt Corral. You're probably looking at, let's just look at the quarterbacks. You're probably looking at Ritter. You're probably looking at Corral. You're probably looking at Howell. Kenny Pickett's not going to be there. Malik Willis is not going to be there at 49. So they got to take their pick here, and I think the pick's going to be Malik Willis. I think he's going to be the first quarterback taken. That does spice things up right now because I think the Steelers are potentially a team that could go quarterback. But unfortunately for the Steelers, there ain't no quarterback here. There ain't a quarterback here. And the Steelers, man, they have an offer from the Cowboys, which I might take up, to be honest. Because I could see them going offensive line here. I think it's a little bit too early for Tyler Smith. I don't love Bernard Raymond here. I don't think Linderbaum really fits what they need. I think we're going to do the trade here. The Cowboys are somebody that I think will move up for an offensive lineman. And just for the semantics sake, we're going to do that. Move up 4 picks, offer trade, There it is. And the Cowboys are on the clock. And I think the Cowboys, if they trade up, they're trading up for Tyler Linderbaum. That's somebody you got to jump. I think you got to jump the Cardinals for. I think they are definitely in position for him. The Packers, not so much. They could be. I don't think they are. And then we're at the Patriots, who I actually have taken a receiver. I have them taking Traylon Burks, who I think is going to be extremely underrated in some of these. But Traylon Burks is a guy that I like a lot. I think he's fast. He's 6'4". His tape's phenomenal. He didn't necessarily have the combine he needed, but I think he's a phenomenal player. And I think the tape is what you got to listen to here. Then we're getting to the Packers. I think they go offensive line here. And if you go offensive line, if you're the Packers, you'll probably take the most polished one here. And to me, I think that's probably going to be Raymond. Phenomenal player. Primarily lined up at one side his entire career. Whereas Zion, a little bit more of a versatile guy. He has played more. He is a little bit more flexible. He primarily played on that left side still. I don't think you go wrong with either, to be honest. Man, what do I want to do here? I think it's between those two. I'm gonna go Raymond. I think that's probably the better choice here. The Cardinals are a team that I think could use an offensive line. They could use this, they could use that, but I actually have them taking one of the better interior defenders in the draft in Zion Johnson here. We just talked about Zion. No more need to explain. I think Kenyon Green is in play there if the board falls the right way, but Zion Johnson on the board, I don't think Kenyon Green jumps him. The Steelers are now on the clock. They traded back a little bit, and I think this is where Kenny Pickett goes. I'm not in love with it. I'm not in love with any of the quarterbacks in this year's draft, to be honest with you, but I think this is where he goes. And here we are with the Bills. The Bills have time to wait. They have time to... The Bills are one of the best teams in the league, let's be honest. They should have potentially been in the Super Bowl last year. They were phenomenal. They kind of got screwed out, in my opinion, by the overtime rule. They have time to wait and let somebody like a Tyler Smith develop. And I actually want to take Tyler Smith here for them. Very low risk pick here. Just use him as a development. The Titans are now on the clock. And as you can see, I want an offensive line here for the Titans. I don't know if Kenyon Green fits that. He does, in a sense, fit that. You look at him, he can play on anywhere except center. But do I love it I don't know. I don't know if I feel like he's a Titan. But I feel like that's probably the move here, unless they want to go Karlaftis. Yeah, but it's probably the move unless they want to go Karlaftis. If he's there, maybe Arnold Ibikite. If he's there, maybe Daxton Hill. But with the way the board's falling, I'm going to have to take George Karlaftis. Too good of a player to be sitting there at 26. The Buccaneers are somebody they are going to be taking best player available, fits position of need. They're going to do what they need to do, and I think Kenyon Green fits perfectly there for them. The Packers, as you can see, we went Raymond here. They're going to go receiver. He's still on the board. They're drafting Chris Olave. The Chiefs here, kicking themselves a little bit. They did just trade. Tyreek Hill. So maybe they wanted a Chris Olave here. But he's not there. Sky Moore is. Are they in love with Sky Moore? I don't know. But I do think we are going to see Daxton Hill come off the board here. He can play safety. He can play corner. Let's just give him a little bit of a look here. He can play almost anywhere. I love him. I think he's going to be a good return man at the next level. I think he's going to be phenomenal. I think they want to go receiver here too. It's between Pickens and Sky Moore. Maybe Jahan Dotson. Maybe. Oh man, I don't know what to do here. When's their next pick? I don't know if they're in love with this pick. I'm gonna actually have them trade down a little. The Lions and Bengals aren't taking receivers. The Jaguars aren't going to take a receiver. The Jets maybe. The Giants. No, the Jets drafted their receiver. Never mind. They won't need to move up them. The Giants maybe. Texans drafted one. The Bears make sense to me. The Bears do make sense to me. But with the way the board's fallen, Kenyon Green out on the board, no offensive lineman on the board, I don't think the Bears are the guys. Who's on the board? Who do you move up for in this situation? Lucian, somebody you can move up for. Pickens you can move up for maybe. I'm actually going to do something different here. We're going to draft here. And we are going to reach a little bit. I don't love this, but I like it. Travis Jones, Connecticut, right here. Am I in love with it? No. Do I think it might happen? Potentially. The Bengals, they need offensive line. Kenyon Green would have been phenomenal here. He's not there. Abraham Lucas, definitely not in play here. None of those guys really legitimately in play. Excuse me. And if the board falls out this way, man, there's potential they could trade out of here too. I think with what went down here so far in this draft, I think this might be time to hear Arnold Ibikite's name said. I think it's time. I don't know if he makes it out of the first round. 31 feels about right to me. And then we get the Lions potentially in the run for quarterbacks. Sorry. Dang. The Lions, they took Hutchinson. They need a lot. Corner could be in play here. Kyrie Elam, Jalen Petrie, Kyler Gordon, all guys that I think could be hearing their names called. And you know what? I want to get a little wild, man. I think Kyler Gordon has the potential to slide into the first round. He definitely has the potential to slide up in here. Phenomenal player. He's played almost anywhere you can play except over deep. I think he's pretty fairly well-sized. Man, I want to take Kyler Gordon with this pick. And I think I'm going to justify it. I'm taking Kyler Gordon. So there you go. There's our first round. There it is. Let's see what they say. I do not want this. No. Here it is. Trayvon Walker. Here's a quick recap. Trayvon Walker, number 1. I would give that maybe a B-. I'm not in love with that pick. I think that's what. Keep in mind, this is everything I think is going to happen. This is not what I would do in these situations. Maybe I'll do a video about what I would do. I would give this a B-. This I would give an A+. It's if Kayvon Thibodeau or Aiden Hutchinson are number 2 to the Lions, I give it an A+. Trayvon Walker, I'll give it a B-, just like I gave him here. Ike McConville, I love this kid. I give this a solid A. Phenomenal. Evan Neal, love what he can bring to a team. I would give it an A. Sauce Gardner here at 5. I feel like that is a steal, high-value pick there. I would give it an A. Charles Cross here at number 6. I like the kid. I don't necessarily like him as much as Ike or Evan Neal, but I would still give this a B+. The Giants, they hit a home run. A+ with Thibodeau and Sauce Gardner. Both of them get A+ for me. The Commanders, sitting with Jameson Williams, trading up to get him. I would say that's an A- move right there. I do love Jameson Williams. I think 8 might be a little bit too early for my liking, but you're not going to get him later. So, I do understand moving up for Jameson Williams. The Seahawks, I love Derek Stingley. I absolutely think Derek Stingley might be the best defensive back in this draft. If it's not Sauce Gardner, or if it's not going to be Kyle Hamilton, it probably is going to be Derek Stingley, to be honest with you. At 9, I feel like that's a good spot for him. High-value guy. if you can get him to feel committed, if you can get him on the field, he's going to be a phenomenal player for you. So I'm going to give it a B. I'm not going to give it an A because there still are some questions with Stingley, but I'll give it a B. The Jets here, taking Garrett Wilson. I think he's going to be a phenomenal player at the next level. I would give it a B. I'm not going to give it an A because I don't necessarily know if I would take a receiver here. I might sit here and try to convince myself Jermaine Johnson could go here. I might try to convince myself Kyle Hamilton should go here. I'll give it a B. Garrett Wilson, I think, is going to be a solid player. And then we get the Falcons, who traded down. I think they get their guy. I think right now it's between Stingley and McDuffie. They make the decision easier for themselves. They get some more draft capital. I would give Trent McDuffie here a B+. The Vikings, Jermaine Johnson. I would give this an A if Jermaine Johnson had a little bit more on his film. Great senior day, good numbers, good metrics, very athletic. I think he has the potential to be better than Karlaftis. I think this is a good pick. I don't think it's a blow-away pick, but I will give it a B. And then you get to the Texans, man, Drake London. This is an absolute steal. Somebody that you thought would be off the board at 10 ends up making his way down a few more picks for you. I'd give it an A. 14, Jordan Davis. I love Jordan Davis. I'm not in love with where he goes, but obviously they do have a need there. So I'll give him an A for it because I do think Jordan Davis is going to be one hell of a football player. And then we get to a little bit of a sketchy part of the draft. 15 with the Eagles, Andrew Booth. I have them reaching a little bit. I would give it a C. It does fill a position I need. It would be lower if it did not feel a position in need. I'm not necessarily that high on Andrew Booth at number 15. I think he should probably go around 24, 25, something like that. But we're taking him about 10 picks earlier than what I think he should be. He might prove me wrong, and I hope he does. Andrew Booth, if you're watching this, please do prove me wrong. I'm always happy to admit that I'm wrong. We'll see what Andrew Booth does at 15. 16, we have another reach. In my opinion, Trevor Penning is going to be somebody you're going to have to develop. He played lesser competition. You're going to have to be a little bit more open to fixing him. I would give that one a C as well. The Chargers here, I do like Devontae Wyatt. I think he's going to be a solid player. I would give it a B. I think there are better positions to go for, but I do think they're going to boost that interior defense there from everything I've been hearing from Chargers fans that I know and from just the general consensus. I think they're going to go defense and interior defense there. The Eagles, Kyle Hamilton, home run of a hit. I don't even need to explain it. We've talked enough about Kyle Hamilton. I think Kyle Hamilton can be over here. Nobody values safeties. I love it at 18, man. I absolutely love Kyle Hamilton at 18. I could see Kyle Hamilton going anywhere up in here with the Giants. Maybe the Jets even. I don't think any of these top 3 are going to fit it, but I could see him in the top 5. And if he's there at 18, I don't see how you can let him go further. I love that. That is an A++++. That all the way to the end. Phenomenal pick if you take Kyle Hamilton. 19, you get the Steelers taking Malik Willis. The Saints taking Malik Willis out of Liberty. I'm not a big fan of the QBs in this draft. I could see a situation where none of the QBs go in this draft. It would just feel really weird to see all these QBs go in the second round rather than the first. So I do think we're going to get some QBs. And the Saints are one of those teams that might be taking a QB. And I think Malik Willis is probably the number 1 QB. It's between him and Pickett. I think Malik Willis is probably going to go a little bit higher than what his rating is. I would not have him going in the top 32. He is not somebody that I think is going to be a NFL Pro Bowler, or I think he's more on the level of somebody that's not necessarily bad. Maybe somebody that isn't, maybe like a Jalen Hurts. I mean, that might be an unfair comparison to Malik Willis, but I don't expect him to be anything insane in the league, to be honest. We'll see what happens with Malik Willis. Hopefully he proves me wrong. Hopefully he can become somebody even better. Hopefully he can become the next Josh Allen, the next Patrick Mahomes, next Dak Prescott. Become one of the top tier players in the draft in the league that people kind of underrated. I hope he does because I do like his game. It's just I don't know if he is legitimately a great quarterback option. Um, Being at Liberty, he didn't have much help either, so that might not help his case. But I will give it a C. I will give it a C. Um, the Cowboys, they needed to trade up. As you can see, that we did have a little bit of a run there in offensive linemen. They were sitting at 24. They knew that they might be a little bit of a run coming up. So they moved up a little bit, and they took their guy in Tyler Linderbaum, who I don't know is going to be there at 24, but he is there at number 20, and you're going to move up and go get him. I love Tyler Linderbaum. I think he is probably one of the best offensive linemen in this year's draft. Obviously, he didn't measure up to be the greatest. He's a little bit on the smaller end. He has a little bit smaller arms. The tape tells all. The tape never lies. I think Linderbaum's the guy. And at 21, receiver is in need. They haven't got receiver right for how many years in New England? Year after year after year, they just don't seem to get it right. Traylon Burks hopefully turns that around. Did I even grade Tyler Linderbaum? I would give it an A. Traylon Burks, though, they don't seem to get it right. I think this is getting it right. I would give this a B. I'm not going to give it an A. I'm going to give it a B because his metrics didn't really line up with what they needed to. If he came in anyway and did what he needed to do in the offseason to back up his tape, I would have sat here and told you it was an A through and through. I'm not going to do that. I am a little bit hesitant to do that still, but I will give him a B. Then we have the Packers here taking Raymond. I think this is a phenomenal pick. I love Bernard Raymond. I think he could slide into that second round where potentially the Bears could pick him, which I would love. And it's kind of hard to see him go to interdivision rival. But Bernard Raymond, I don't think you go wrong with him at 22. I think around that 20 mark is when Bernard Raymond's stock starts hitting up. And I would say it's probably a B plus pick there. Zion Johnson, very similar to Bernard Raymond. I love him. I think he is potentially in that second round range, early second round. And if he's on the board with everybody else off the board, Cardinals are on the clock, I could see them going him. I think he's really phenomenal. I think he's going to be a solid starter in this league. I would also give this a B+. Then we get to the Steelers. The Steelers did not get Malik Willis, so they traded down, and they ended up getting Kenny Pickett, their quarterback of the future. They could go a lot of different directions. Offensive line, they could even go receiver maybe. They just did lose Juju. They might go defense. I think it's Kenny Pickett. I think it's going to be Kenny Pickett. 25, we get out of Tulsa, Tyler Smith, who is going to be a little bit more of a project side of things for the Bills, but I still like him as a player. I still think he's going to be solid. The Bills don't need anybody to be in there right now. The Bills need to build towards the future because, let's be honest, the Bills are going to be good no matter who they bring in here. The person that they add this year, unless it is one of those, like a Chris Olave, the only guy I drafted in the first round behind him that I think could add something to that team maybe is Chris Olave. Karlaftis maybe, but Tyler Smith does bring something for the future, and I think that's what the Bills are going to be building towards. The Titans, they took best player, or Tyler Smith. What did I grade Kenny Pickett? I'll grade Kenny Pickett a B-. Tyler Smith, I'll grade him a B. George Karlaftis at 26 to the Titans. This is a steal. He was around 10 on people's big boards. He's here at 26, 16 picks later. He's the guy that I think is going to fall the furthest in this draft. I'm giving this an A+++++, off the screen. George Karlaftis at 26, I don't even care if it's position in need for the Titans. It is a steal. The Bucs taking Kenyon Green, guard out of A&M. Love this kid. I think he might be in the position to be drafted by the Bears. Obviously, I'm talking a lot about the Bears because I'm a Bears fan. 39th pick. We'll see what happens. But 27th, I think this is where Kenyon Green could be sliding in. I could see Kenyon Green possibly going anywhere from maybe this Pittsburgh pick. As you can see, Pitt still has that pick. To basically anywhere. Basically anywhere afterwards. I think his range starts opening up at around the 20s. I think he's going to be a phenomenal player, very dimensional. You can play him on the left guard or tackle position. You might be able to move him to the right. We'll see. But I think Kenyon Green's going to be a good player at the next level, and the Bucs are in a position to take good players, which is what they're going to do. Then you get the Packers. They address their receiver need. They finally go out. They get receiver one for Aaron Rodgers and Chris Olave. I think that is an absolute steal. I give that an A. Good pickup there in Chris Olave. 29th, we get Daxton Hill. I do like Daxton Hill. Kyer Elam is probably who I would take. I think it's going to be Daxton Hill, though. I would say it's a B. If it's a B, if it was Kyer, I'd probably give him an A, but I'll give him a B. 30th, Travis Jones. I'll give it a B minus. I'm not in love with it. I couldn't justify really trading this pick, especially because none of these teams really behind them needed anything. A little bit too early for Sky Moore, in my opinion, to go Sky Moore. Maybe a little bit too early for Jahan Dotson as well. Maybe a little bit too early for George Pickens. Maybe you trade down a little bit, I don't know, but Travis Jones on the board, I think this is probably a B-minus pick. Arnold Ibikite, I think this is a tradable pick. Like I said with the Chiefs, I didn't really see who would have traded for this pick. Maybe somebody shocks us, but I don't reach on a Lucas. I don't reach on a Tom. I don't reach on any of those guys. Once Kenyon Green's off the board, I completely eliminate offensive line at 31. And go somebody that can bring projection in the long run. I think Arnold Ibikite is one of those guys. And then that will probably be about a B-minus pick for me. And then 32, I have Kyler Gordon sliding his way into the first round to join McDuffie. And I'm going to give it a C+. Like I said, Kyer Elam's probably would give me an A++, whatever in here, but I don't know if Kyer Elam's going to fall in the first round. Some people have to slide. Karlaftis was one of the ones that are going to slide, I think. Elam's going to be one that might slide. We could see Kayvon slide potentially. We could see maybe McDuffie slide a little bit further than this. Jordan Davis could maybe slide later first round. We might see some of these guys slide. Maybe Tyler Linderbaum, somebody that could slide. Kyle Hamilton, somebody that could slide. Malik Willis might slide completely out of the first round with Kenny Pickett. I don't know. Maybe Trayvon Walker slides a little bit. People start adding some questions to their board about him. But for the most part, man, I think this is a fairly good, accurate prediction of what's going to happen. Keep in mind, I didn't really look at what other people said. I mean, outside of consensus, outside of people saying, I think Trayvon Walker's stock's rising or whatever, I didn't really look at, specific individuals' mock drafts and just copy them or anything like that. This is from all the knowledge that I've gathered from listening to everybody. It's not one specific individual that I'm following statements about these people. So we'll see what happens in the draft this year, man. But I might be the only one that thinks this is gonna happen. Andrew Booth to the Eagles. That screams Eagles to me. I've seen that happen. I've seen all of it. I've seen a lot of this happen, to be honest. I've seen a lot of this to happen. I haven't seen that. Kyle Hamilton, I think, is going to be well off the board, probably. I don't know if I've necessarily seen Traylon Burks. I know I've seen Olave. I know I've seen Jameson Williams. I know I've seen Wilson. if any of those receivers fall, that's probably where they go. Traylon Burks, though, I think they do prefer over Olave. Karlaftis, I don't think anybody's thought he was going to go this late. But I have him going this late. I don't know. It's just a gut feeling. Daxton Hill, that is something that a lot of people think is going to happen, is he's going to slide into that late half of that first round. Olave, I think he's going to be in the mid to late 20s. Kyler Gordon, I've heard some people give him some first round hype, same with Arnold Ibikite and Travis Jones. These last four, man, are very, very, they might still be you might or might not be there. But we'll see. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys next time. Make sure you guys go watch the Bears one. And I will be also reviewing the end of the first round on the end of Thursday night.